The World Cup champion will be crowned this week, and you can trade the tourney through the finals on Kalshi, America's #1 prediction market platform. Right now, Spain is trading at 58% to beat Argentina, meaning 100 trade pays out $166 if they win. On Kalshi, you're trading against other people in a live market. No house, no odds makers. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code HOOPS to get $10 when you trade $10. KALSHI. Kalshi. Trade the beautiful game. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Kalshi products are not available in all jurisdictions. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory.
You are listening to Hillary Topper on Air. And now, here's your host, Hillary Topper.
Welcome to Hillary Topper on Air. Whether you're crushing your business goals, training for your next big race, or just trying to navigate the everyday hurdles of life, you are in the exact right place. I'm your host, Hillary Topper, and this is a show that dives deep into life, business, endurance sports, and absolutely everything in between. Before we jump into today's conversation, I want to take a quick second to thank the incredible sponsors who make this show possible. First, a big thank you to the Russo Law Group. They are Long Island's signature elder law, estate planning, and special needs law firm. They provide the expert guidance and peace of mind you need so that you can focus on what matters most. We are also brought to you by PlayTry. If you love swim, bike, and run, this is your premier destination. With stores across the country, PlayTry caters specifically to endurance athletes, making sure you have exactly what you need to conquer your next starting line. We have a fantastic episode lined up today. We are sitting down with Jodi Kahn to talk all about meditation, chakras, the Let Animals Lead animal Reiki method, transpersonal crystal healing, and more. So let's get on with the show. Meet Jodi Kahn, a dedicated healer and spiritual guide whose journey began with a personal quest to overcome the stress and anxiety that impacted her health and well-being. Through her exploration of holistic practices, Jodi discovered the transformative power of Reiki and transpersonal crystal healing, which not only helped her heal, but also inspired her to create a space for others to embark on their healing journeys. As a certified Reiki Master Teacher Practitioner, Transpersonal Crystal Healer Practitioner, and Medical Reiki Master Practitioner, Jodi integrates a variety of modalities to support the mind, body, and spirit. Her work extends to chakra balancing, meditation workshops, intuitive readings, and even animal Reiki, reflecting her deep connection to the spirit world and her passion for raising the collective vibration. Jodi's mission is to enlighten and awaken others, helping them find balance, healing, and light in their lives. So Jodi, welcome.
Thank you.
Could you start by sharing with us what inspired you to begin your journey into Reiki and transpersonal crystal healing?
Sure. So I was always on a spiritual journey just for years, but the pandemic was really the trigger because we're living in a world that's unknown. Everyone's frightened. I'm feeling it, not healthy. It was breeding tons of anxiety. And so I was looking for something to really just release and, calm me down. I mean, I was always meditating, but this was extreme, right? During that time, a friend of mine is a Reiki practitioner, told me about what Reiki was. We were having a conversation, told me about the philosophy, told me about the practice. And I said, you know what, I want to look into this, because it was really about getting out of yourself and just dealing with like today. Everything was just today, being the present. So I ended up studying it. And then when we came out of that, I could actually do the practical part of it. And then I became certified as a Reiki Master Teacher, so I can teach others. And then over a good 2-year period, I was studying crystal therapy. It was a very long, intense kind of program, because you had to learn so many different components. But really, it was the pandemic that really kicked it off, where I really wanted to feel grounded and stable. And that's what I was looking for.
So, share with us a pivotal moment in your healing journey that shaped your approach to helping others.
When you study Reiki level 1 is all about self-healing. And so the precepts, if I can tell you, the precepts are do not anger, do not worry, be humble, be true to your practice, and be kind to yourself, compassionate to yourself and others. So right there, if you say those things every single day, it's built into your system. Right. So what happened was, in the studying of all that and doing my own self-healing, people started to recognize certain changes, because I was seeing things differently. I was reacting differently. My interactions with people were very different. Not that I was even aware of it. It's just because I had absorbed the practice. So they noticed it. And then they were saying to me, what are you doing? How are you doing that? And then it ended up being that I started helping other people.
So, talk to us a little bit about your connection to the spirit world and how it has influenced your work. So when I guess it was when you just started Reiki, we got together and you felt, some of my deceased loved ones out there, and you said things that were just so scary and spot on. So talk to us a little bit about how that started, and how it's shaped and influenced your work.
Right. So many people who are intuitive will tell you that they started feeling it when they were little. So as a little girl, you think you're a little off because you're hearing things, or maybe you're seeing something, and it's because you're open. You're not, when you're little like that, you're just totally open. You're not afraid. You haven't been influenced by a lot of things. But then those situations occur and you get scared. So you push it away. Over time, I ended up becoming, my intuition was flowing because I was more open. And so I actually I studied mediumship because I wanted to understand how to really tap into, your own personal intuition, and then see what's going on, because I would always feel things and I kind of know things, and I would hear things. I could see people. I would be talking to someone and I could actually see a scene in my head, and I'd be like, oh, did your grandmother used to host these events, and you and your sister were sitting next to each other and you never really got along, and everyone's like, what? But that's just, it would just come to me. So how it influenced the practice is that when you're working on somebody, there's no ego. You leave it at the door. You do not bring your ego in, because it's not about you, it's about your client. So in just releasing your ego, you're opening yourself up to just feel things. So when I first work on somebody, the first thing I do for a Reiki, even for crystal therapy, is I do an overall like assessment with my hands, and I can feel the energy in somebody's body, whether it's warm, cold, if things don't feel tight, all those things. But as I'm doing the practice, because it's all about the person, I'm feeling things they just come through, because you're more open.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about anything, I'm not bringing my stuff to the table. Makes a difference.
So let's get back to Reiki and transpersonal crystal healing.
Mm.
Can you explain how they work together to promote healing?
Mhm.
And what type of healing is it? Is it like mind, body, spirit? Like can you explain that a little bit?
Sure. So I'll explain the transpersonal crystal healing because that might be something people haven't really heard about. It's called transpersonal because it's more it involves more of the psychological component as well of what people are thinking and feeling and their emotions from the past. You connect that with then the crystal therapy, which is using the crystals on the body and around the body for for working for certain healing practices. Say you suffer from headaches, so it would be a certain type of crystals that I would use and placed in a certain different ways. It's all the whole body. So transpersonal is really mind, body, spirit. It's the whole body and the mind and the spirit. It's everything because everything's connected. And so combining that with Reiki, which is really life force energy, because we all are made up of energy. I always tell people the first thing I do is I say, if you go like this, if you rub your hands together and you just separate your hands a little bit, you'll feel the tension. That's energy. So that is coming off of everybody. Everybody has their own personal energy. And so you tap into that. I use both modalities. And then and you start to feel things and sense things and you work with that. You take out in other words, you're almost like taking out the bad and bringing in the good.
So what is chakra balancing, and what's the role of chakra balancing in your practice, and how does it benefit people?
So that's like a whole class. You can
Of
do a whole class.
itself, right?
You can do
That's
a whole class
totally.
on chakras. Yeah, you can do a whole class on it. But they're energy centers, right? So, and there's many of them. People say there's like 7, there's 9, there's many of them throughout your body. It's like a Kundalini thing. It's all up your median of your body, from your head to past your head to past your toes, and each chakra is supposed to be functioning at the same speed, the same size. It takes practice to be able to really tap in to know if that's happening for somebody. If it's not, and you want to balance because people feel that they're not, something's wrong, something's off, and that could be what it is. You can use crystals to work with that. You can use Reiki to work with that. If it's the crystal, sometimes we use it in coordination with the colors of the chakras, which is really a Western thing. The colors of the chakras doesn't have to be, but sometimes we match those up. But really, it's the energy and the cycle of the energy, the speed of that energy, the size of that energy, and so it's a practice. You have to practice being able to sense it. You can't just sense it right away. It takes time. I would think that's probably one of the most challenging things to be able to feel in somebody else.
So
But I teach it to
interesting.
people. So I have them actually do it to themselves and then do it to somebody else so they can really try and feel it for themselves.
I feel like I'm going back and forth with my questions, but
That's
how
okay.
do you incorporate intuitive or psychic mediumship into your healing sessions?
Right. So if like no ego, right? Remove the ego. And there's total quiet. I mean, we might have music, but it's quiet because my mind is quiet. I quiet my client, mind, body, right? And it allows space for just things to come into me that I can sense what's going on in your body, but I can also start to feel, say something's going on down your lower abdomen, which is your sacral area. If I can start to sense, you having trouble with it, like indigestion, digestion problems, I start to feel warmth or things that are moving rapidly or moving slowly. And so that's the intuitive part of it.
Okay, so can you share more about the let animals
Mm.
lead animal Reiki method and how it differs from traditional Reiki?
It
Sounds so.
differs. Yeah, it's a specific Kathleen Prasad. It's her brand. Let animals lead. It's not doing something to the animal. It's allowing the animal to just be. It's based on meditation. So I'll give you an example.
Yeah, thank
It's
you.
good. I had a friend. Yeah, here we
You're
go.
going
I
over
have two
my head
examples.
over
I
here.
have two examples, but one, I went into a clinic, a shelter that had cats, and one of the cats was very unsettled because they had just had one leg was, had to be amputated, and so the cat was very unsettled. So she says, "Well, come in and see if you can settle settle the cat down because the cat had like a lot of anxiety from the whole situation." And what she would say to do is if you just sit there and you sit next to the animal as close as the animal will let you be, you don't have to be like super close. You go into your own meditative state, you relax your own body, the energy in the room relaxes, the animal picks up on that. Animals pick up on everything, right? They do. They're so sensitive. And then the animal relaxes.
Wow.
Another story was my friend's daughter had gotten a dog, and she had the dog in a pen, and she was trying to train the dog on the harness, and the dog wanted nothing, wanted no part of this harness, and was like really, really agitated and running around the pen, really, really agitated. And I said, my heart was breaking. Like, can you just take it off? She's like, no, I need to. This was her thing. She needed to train the dog with the harness.
Mhm.
So I sat down outside the little pen. I just sat there. And I sat there and I didn't even look at the dog. I just kind of looked down with my eyes toward to see what the dog was doing. And within 5 minutes, that dog was just lying there.
Wow.
Because you go into a meditative state and your thought process and your energy is all about calming the room. Yeah,
That is so cool. So, can you come over to my daughter's house? Kidding.
absolutely.
That dog is nuts. Okay, anyway. Um, so what can participants expect from your meditative healing circles and workshops? I know you do a lot of them. You do
Yeah,
them at the school, you do them, you just
the
told me
different,
you're
yeah.
doing one at NYU. So talk to us a little bit about what they can expect.
The most important thing they can expect is safe space. They're walking into a space where it's open. There's no there's no requirements. You just bring yourself, you do what you would like to do, and you can participate as much as you want to participate. But all of the workshops are different. So if I'm doing a workshop on developing a meditation practice, that's giving instruction on different ways to meditate. So that's multiple sessions because there's different ways you can meditate because not everything is works for everybody. There's different ways to do everything, and what might work for you doesn't work for me, vice versa. What works for me today may not work for me 3 years from now. So if you offer the plate, all these different types of things that you can use, um, people have choices. People like choice.
Very
It's
cool.
important.
Very cool.
And the energy healing workshops is all about, that's where we talk about the chakras, and that's where we talk about balancing. There's a workshop on storytelling, create your own story, which is also about going in, dealing with shadow work, trauma, even good things, positive things, where we go do a whole meditative thing. We use objects, we use, word prompts, all kinds of things, so that someone can actually write down, they have a story to tell that they've had in their head, but they don't know how to get it out. And so it's a way of processing that. So they're all explorative, and they're tangible so that you can actually walk away and have something that you've learned.
Wow. Now let me ask you, so for somebody like, you know, an endurance athlete,
Mhm.
right? How can this help them?
I think what we tend to do when we're doing an athletic event is we get so caught up in our head. Many times we're thinking about, what's my time going to be? Am I going to, all kinds of things. We get all heady, and in learning how to meditation practices, you realize if you focus up here, you focus on your head, it's going to stay in your head. And that's the tension. It's going to build the tension. If you focus on the lower abdomen and you focus on the breath, you forget what's in your head and you just focus on the breath. And the breath is important if you're running and, doing an athletic event. So it forces the breath to go down and not sit in your chest. And that becomes where your focus is, and it just relaxes everything. The other thing is, like I used to tell my students, you got to get rid of the negative self-talk, right? If you negative self-talk, you're going to create what you're frightened of,
Without a
and fear,
doubt.
there's no place for fear. So we get rid of it and we replace it with, I'm going to do the best I can.
Absolutely.
It releases a lot of pressure.
So you also are a Reiki Master Teacher. What advice do you give to those who want to maybe start their own Reiki journey?
Slow, be patient. Some people jump, they want to learn everything all at once. I recommend it being a slow process. The right classes will tell you that you take Reiki 1, you practice for 6 months to 8 months. The next year you take Reiki 2, that you do it slowly because you want to be able to absorb it. You want it to become a part of your life. You don't want to just have it be like a drop in the bucket. One day I'm going to be doing this, and then 2 days later I don't do it anymore. So you want to develop something that's very consistent. So I say slow, steady, and consistent.
So what are some of your goals in the coming years? What are you planning to do with this practice, and what other new modalities or techniques are you exploring?
Right. So what I'd like to be able to do is reach out to more people, because the more people I reach out to, the more people they reach out to. Right. So it has a domino effect. I'm always thinking of new ideas for workshops. Like the storytelling one that's a new one. And also, if anybody has ideas, but they don't know how to develop the workshop, I'm totally available, and to be able to work through something when somebody has an idea that they want to produce some type of workshop that they feel is necessary. I want to, yeah, I want to reach out to more people. I'd like to be able to have a larger audience, maybe work with some corporations, some schools. I do the work individually or in small groups, but I think that's really one of my goals, is to reach out and make it a larger scope.
Yeah, you can imagine, it would have been great if I still had my public relations firm and you came in and, talked to everybody. That would have been fantastic
Mm-hmm.
because they were so stressed out all the time. And I think that taking away that stress and anxiety would have made them a lot more productive, right?
Yeah.
Um, so
It has a
talk,
place in team meetings, it has a place in, and some corporations have very large team meetings
oh,
or
without a
day
doubt.
conferences or things of that nature. So it has a place.
What advice would you give someone feeling overwhelmed by stress and looking for healing?
I laugh. They can always call me. But as far as if they don't want to reach out, they want to, for themselves, I always say it's connect to the breath. If you stop, you pause, and you breathe, and be aware of yourself and your surroundings. Because the more aware you are of what's going on with yourself, the more you can recognize what's causing the stress, and then you can deal with the stress. But sometimes we get so caught up, or so it's running, 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 and we don't even have time to think about what happened, what did they say to me, so. But if you stop, and it doesn't take, like, it's not a long stop, but it becomes part of your being. If you just stop, you just pause, you breathe through your nose and out your nose. So you do it like that. You focus on your lower abdomen to breathe. And then you're aware aware of yourself and aware of your surroundings. And you find when you don't have when you rid the negative self-talk and you slow things down, you interact with people in a totally different way, which then causes them to interact with you differently.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. So how do you, Jodi Kahn, balance energy and stress while helping others? Like, how do you do it? Like,
Because it's not about me. You know, I have my own practice that I do for myself, but if I'm with somebody else, it has nothing to do with me. It's all about them.
oh, cool. So talk to me about what does following the radiant path mean to you personally?
It means becoming integrated with yourself. The more you are your own radiant path. So if you follow who you truly are, and you really learn who you truly are through meditation, because it gives you the opportunity to sit and just be. And that's just the awareness of yourself. And that's your own path. Everybody has their own path. You know, they might like somebody else's ideas, but it's about, you have to find out who you are.
Absolutely. So, Janine, I'm going to bring you on, and do you have any questions for Jodi?
So at the beginning, you mentioned you had this sense, since you were young about being sensitive, I guess is a word. Do you think it requires this kind of a sensitivity, or I'm just curious.
To do what? To do the
To-
Reiki practice?
Yes.
No. I think what I was talking about was a level of sensitivity that's more, that becomes deeper. I think you need to be intuitive,
Oh, okay.
you
I
know.
can see that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just being intuitive,
Okay.
being aware.
Mm-hmm.
So as I said, if you get out of yourself and it's not about you and it's not about your ego, you're
Mm-hmm.
more in touch with the person, and then you can feel things and sense things.
Okay. That makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You know, what's interesting about it is that, when little children, and it was funny because I just met somebody recently and they said to me, little children and dog, and animals, cats, dogs, whatever, they can sense things, right? If they can, they perceive you, they can sense us, your energy. And I wonder, and then you always hear these things about children talking to somebody, but nobody's there, right? Is that kind of what you're talking about in terms of like when you can sense somebody who's passed type of thing?
Right. I mean, it obviously would depends on the child. I don't know who the child is, but it's very possible. You know, the imaginary friends, are they really imaginary? All right, you know.
Yeah,
But
what?
parents always say, like, who are you talking to? You know, and sometimes when they talk about who they're talking to, and it's really it becomes real, that it's not just made up, then because they're open.
Right, that's what it is, I think. It's just
Mhm.
that, we have so much going on all the time in our lives that we're closed, right?
Mhm.
We're closed.
Exactly.
We don't want to hear. We just want to focus on what needs to be done, right?
Right. Yeah, they're open.
So
And
how do you get
animals,
yourself to open up? Like, is it meditation? I mean, what
yeah,
what
yeah,
would
it
you
has a lot
say?
has to do with meditation and automatic writing, and just while you, like, when I meditate, often I have a notebook next to me, and I can write and meditate at the same time, and whatever's coming through. And sometimes that's how I get messages. That's how I got messages for you.
That was crazy when you said those. There were like two or three things that you said, and I was like, "What?"
I know, it's always a what. I always think that too. I was like, what? How'd that happen? Yeah.
That was something. Yeah. So tell us, Jodi, how can people get in touch with you and learn more about what you do? Wait a second, unless Janine, you have another question.
No, thank you.
Okay. Well, they can certainly email me. I have a website. It's called radiantpathhealing.com. And on that website is my phone number, is my email. They can learn a lot more about me, about my services, and the different things I offer. And to ask me questions, certainly.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
your time today. This show was produced by Hillary Topper and sponsored by the Russo Law Group, Long Island's signature elder law, estate planning, and special needs law firm. For more information, visit vjrussolaw.com. And PlayTry, your multi-sport specialist for all your triathlon needs. They have so many opportunities, including franchising. If you love the sport of triathlon, check out playtry.com and learn more about opportunities, or if you want to shop there, check them out. They've got great prices and they've got amazing customer service.
The World Cup champion will be crowned this week, and you can trade the tourney through the finals on Kalshi, America's #1 prediction market platform. Right now, Spain is trading at 58% to beat Argentina, meaning 100 trade pays out $166 if they win. On Kalshi, you're trading against other people in a live market. No house, no odds makers. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code HOOPS to get $10 when you trade $10. KALSHI. Kalshi. Trade the beautiful game. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Kalshi products are not available in all jurisdictions. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory.